Sprouting from so many roots, old ballads and hymns, Tin Pan Alley compositions, minstrel shows, and African-American blues, the music Ralph Peer and his competitors had begun recording in the 1920s was hard to categorize or precisely define. But for marketing reasons, the companies needed a name for it. In 1925, Ralph Peer recorded a spirited string band fronted by Al Hopkins in New York City. As they were leaving, he asked what name he should use for them in his advertising. Hopkins answered, "Call us anything. We're nothing but a bunch of hillbillies from North Carolina and Virginia." Peer had the name he needed. Soon magazines and newspapers were referring to the entire style as hillbilly music. Not every artist appreciated the term, or the way they were often portrayed as quaint and quirky backwoods hayseeds. The editor of Variety magazine described hillbillies as illiterate and ignorant, poor white trash with the intelligence of morons. Hillbilly was not a funny word, one musician said. It was a fighting word.
It doesn't offend us hillbillies. It's our music. But if you're an outsider and you're saying it's hillbilly music because you don't know any better, it's almost like a racist remark. If we're hillbillies, we're proud of that. But you're not allowed to say it if you don't really know what you're talking about or mean it.
But as long as it helped sell records, many performers were fine with it, including Fiddlin' John Carson, who had already adopted the persona of a country bumpkin from North Georgia, rather than the former Atlanta mill worker he really was. Radio was exploding. There were now hundreds of stations in every corner of the country, and to attract more listeners, they all borrowed from one of the oldest traditions of mixing music and commerce, the traveling medicine show.
In a medicine show, you come into town, you set up in the town square, and you hawk an elixir. You've got this remedy, and you pass out handbills, and you take personal testimonials from paid dudes out there in the audience. And they tell you about how wonderful they feel, how their dropsy went away, and how their sores and festering wounds have healed because of this corn whiskey, this snake oil. So you've got your product, and music is only there to push your product. Music is just like the soapbox you stand on. It's all about the message. And radio amplified that. The radio changed everything.
In tiny Milford, Kansas, Dr. John R. Brinkley had set up a clinic that promised to restore men's sexual potency by a special technique, implanting billy goat testicles into them. To promote his business, Brinkley started radio station KFKB, whose call letters stood for Kansas First, Kansas Best, and filled most of the broadcast day inviting listeners to his clinic and assuring them that a man is as old as his glands. He filled the rest of the schedule with crop reports, weather forecasts, and live music by Uncle Bob Larkin, the Arkansas State champion fiddler. Shenandoah, Iowa had 2 radio stations, owned by competing seed stores. They staged fiddle contests and live music from groups named the Cornfield Canaries and the Seed House Girls, in between pitches for their products. Sales skyrocketed, and before long, Shenandoah, population 5,000, was flooded with visitors from all over the Midwest who wanted to watch the broadcasts in person, prompting both companies to build ornate auditoriums, arcade shops, a miniature golf course, and tourist cabins to accommodate the crowds. But they were soon eclipsed by Sears Roebuck in Chicago, which launched station WLS for the world's largest store. On Saturday night, April 19th, 1924, WLS premiered a